Did you know that there are some pretty reliable ways to get an indication as to whether your relationship is on its knees? It's really not doing so well. There's some research that's shown that they can predict up to 94% accuracy based on the communication styles. And the researchers came across this from something that came from the New Testament. So, the book of Revelations, there was a metaphor that depicted the end of times, and it covered four things that they called the four horsemen of the apocalypse. And they covered conquests, famine, war, and death. And those four features were sort of the inspiration for the nickname that these researchers gave, the four horsemen of destruction. And that was in regards to relationships. So John Gottman and his team, they've researched, my goodness, they're like the gurus of relationship research. And these four communication styles really are a clear indication of a relationship in some deep trouble. So the first of those four is criticism. So that's when we're sort of, putting down a person. The interactions are not helpful. There's blame of the other person. And it's as if we're pointing out that our partner is defective in some way. So one of the things we can do to sort of redress that is looking at, instead of making a criticism about the person, is we look for ways to put forward the complaint we have about the behaviour. So we're isolating the issue to a particular behaviour rather than the person. The second area is defensiveness. So often in response to being criticised, a person will become quite defensive. And so what often happens there is that a person is feeling like they're under attack. So they'll go on the counter attack to kind of, ward off being criticised. They'll go on the counter attack and then sort of blame it. And that just leads to an escalation usually in any kind of issue between the couple. So one way is to begin to learn how to respond to accepting influence, but in a way that's not so defensive. The third area is stonewalling. So often a person sort of just mentally shuts down. So they might be physically there having the discussion with the person, but not discussing. They're not engaging in it. They've actually switched off. Or inside, they're having a lot of activity mentally, but they're not engaging with the other person. So what's really important there is that the person needs to learn how to calm themselves down, to self-soothe. So that's one way to stop that stonewalling behaviour. And the fourth and final, and probably the most destructive part of one of these communication styles is contempt. So that's when the person is really quite harshly critical. It's bordering on and can be either psychological abuse or worse, and it involves serious name calling, insults, and really and truly it is really like the death knell for a relationship. So what's really helpful is to begin to look to appreciate the person, your partner, for what it is they are doing rather than looking at what they're not doing, which is often where the complaints are coming from. So, or the criticisms are coming from. So what we really need to do is look at what are the ways in which we can develop more collaborative approaches to our relationship rather than feeling like we're pitting ourselves one against the other. So one of the things that is probably you could consider like a fifth horseman of destruction is that refusal to accept influence. So when we can accept influence of our partner, then we're more likely to be able to be on that path to a collaborative relationship as opposed to, combative opponents. So hopefully your relationship can benefit by becoming aware of the pitfalls of those four horsemen of destruction. And like in the book of Revelations, so that your relationship doesn't go down with the end of time, that perhaps your relationship will survive the duration of your time together in happy and collaborative and an enjoyable way together, because at the end of the day, humans are social and we want to be able to connect, and relationships are such an important part of that. So here's to connection, starting from within your relationship. Looking forward to hearing how you might apply some of these. Feel free to comment below. Cheers. Till next time.